to rerun that intro. I was still okay. Now we're live. Go.
You want me to do the intro again?
Yeah.
You got 2 likes already. Hell yeah.
All right. It does say
Like
we're
3
live
seconds
now.
in? Oh,
So,
sweet.
all right. I think we're up and running now. All righty. Sorry about the technical difficulties today. There's some glitch between our computer systems and YouTube. So we're back at it. I'm joined with David Yarger, and we're gonna hear and talk some ball.
Yeah.
What's been going on today? Anything?
Dude, Nico, I have been so busy I can barely breathe. It's been a while since I've been on the Big Yak with you guys. I think the last time I was with you, Mike Pareto. Mike Pareto was
still
alongside,
here.
man.
What? It's been maybe a year since you've been on the show.
It's probably over a year. I think I was with you for, what was it, the fantasy draft.
Yes.
Yeah,
That was
I was
the last
with you
time.
guys
We
for the
didn't
fantasy
even go
draft.
live for that. That was
I
just
know.
like an off camera
I know.
set, and that was it.
That was so fun, though. I can't remember how I did in that league, but I didn't do very well at fantasy last year. and it looks like I'm not going to be doing very well again this year. So, I mean, it is what it is. But
I'm in a family league. I'm in a league with like a bunch of my family members, and like they're all like varying in experience of fantasy football.
Mm-hmm.
I probably have the most experience out of all of them.
Mm-hmm.
My team has been hurt, and I mean like physically hurt. I think I have 4 players in IR.
Oh my
I had
goodness.
drafted Hollywood Brown. He's out for the season.
Yikes.
I had Puka Nacua as my second round pick. He's on IR. In thinking, I'm like, oh no, my team won't get hit, but the injury bug. I have T.J. Hawkinson and Nick Chubb both filling up my IR.
Yep.
It's been a mess, but you know what? Once Nick Chubb comes back mid-season, if I can stay 500, then we're smooth sailing.
You got a chance. You want to hear the dumbest thing I've ever done? I joined a 32-man fantasy football league.
Don't you worry. I'm in one of those also.
Dude, it is the worst. Like what's his face? Taysom Hill is one of my roster spots, and then Jordan Addison.
I'm having like roster trouble trying to figure out if I want to start Jaleel McLaughlin over Andre Yoshivas. That's where I'm sitting at right now.
Did you want to know who I've had to start like the last 2 weeks because Addison Hill was out this past week, but Addison's been out the last 2 weeks. I had to start Josh Reynolds for Denver. Had to start Josh Reynolds, and then this past week I had to start Darius Slayton, who was like option number 3 for New York.
You know who my second round pick was in that league?
Who?
Josh Downs.
Oh my goodness
You're getting
gracious!
that far down, and
Well, and then it's funny you mentioned Puka Nacua.
yeah,
So Tank is in that league.
yep.
And I drafted Jonathan Taylor at like 29. Somehow he got to 29. And you know what a big Colts fan he is. He goes, "Do you want Puka for JT?" And I'm like, "Ooh." I'm like, that's tempting. That's very, very tempting. But I said no, and I dodged a bullet. Let's just put it that way. I dodged a serious bullet on that one.
Yeah.
Just, oh God.
I mean, it's like it's been such a tough year for the NFL for injuries. I feel like we're seeing more injuries now, and I feel like we've had the most preventative, like I don't know, preventative info, most preventative everything. Like this is the safest the NFL has been in years.
Yeah.
And I still feel like we're seeing injuries left and right, and especially to star players. Like, you hate for anyone to get injured, but
Right.
it's just a bad product for the game when you have like all of these star players getting hurt.
I know. You look at like Tua going down. It's like, who knows if he'll actually even play again? I'm sure he will, but like seeing Tua go down, that hurts the NFL. Yeah. Jordan Love, week 1 on a Friday night in Brazil. That was a great idea.
Left.
That was a great idea.
Have everyone wear green too. By the way.
Yeah. The great idea to play in Brazil. Freaking Jordan Love goes down, and like I'm like a Jordan Love card collector, which we'll get into that in a little bit, but like. I saw him go down, and I'm like, great, my collection sucks now. Because I thought he was going to be out for the rest of the year. I'm like, my cards just went from here to here. So
let's talk about it now that we're on the topic of cards. So last time we had you on the show, you were doing a lot of Monday through Friday with the Chase. You were on the show as a co-host, right?
Yep. Yep.
So, talk about
Yeah.
what you're doing now.
So, long story short, for like a year and a half or so, I was, co-hosting The Chase with Troy LaCastro,
Yep.
Elena Jonathan, on Twitch. And basically, The Chase is a sports card hobby podcast where we just look at the news and what's going on in the sports card hobby, and then we would just talk about it, give some takes on things, pick some players that we think are going to rise in the hobby. And, me, I love baseball, so I was like big into prospects. So I was like, hey, this guy's in like Double A right now. You should like pick up his cards, and you're gonna be a billionaire. That's just like joking, but like now I had to venture off because I actually got a promotion with the company. Shout out David Adams. Shout out David Adams, giving me the promotion in December of 2023. And I've been in this role since then. Director of breaking. Now I'm gonna tell you guys, this is the hardest job to explain that I've ever had in my entire life, because when you hear director of breaking, you guys probably think I kill people for a living, and I can confirm that I do not. Basically, long story short, breaking in the card hobby is basically people buy like the boxes of cards, and then on a live stream, the customer watches a breaker open up the box, and basically it's a lot of entertainment because you see some high-end stuff. You'll see like Troy pulled a 1-of-1 Brock Purdy autographed NFL Shield, like just like a 6-figure card. Just absolutely, you never know what you're gonna see on a daily basis. But with my new position, basically all the group breaks that go on in there, which is when a bunch of people join a break of one product. Basically, I control what products we break. Basically what. Just the variety of stuff that goes on. I am basically the one making the creative decisions of what we are actually breaking. Very hard to explain, like I said, very hard to explain, but it's a lot of fun. You get to see some new stuff on a daily basis, and truthfully, our team keeps growing.
Yeah.
And like we're up to almost like 15 people now in our department, and we mesh so well. I shout out to the team and everyone back at David Adams. We just mesh so well. We've grown like a great community too. A lot of people just keep coming back for their cards. It's awesome to see. But yeah, no, I'm having fun, and obviously it's taken me places. So
that's good. Yeah, you love what you do, and it's leading you to good things. The question that I do have for you to kind of help elaborate to the audience is, what does the customer get out of like break like? Is it just kind of like the joy for them to like watch someone else open it, and then like kind of explain that breaking process a little bit?
It's an entertainment factor.
Yeah.
So basically, you buy a box and you go, "Hey, I want you to open up this product." You spent good money on it. You don't know what you're gonna get. So basically, the job of the breaker is to be as entertaining and knowledgeable as possible. They need to know what the product is, who's in the product, who you're chasing. So for like example, now with new football product coming out, you're looking for like Caleb Williams, you're looking for Jaden Daniels, you're looking for who's the other new quarterback? Oh my goodness, like JJ McCarthy, Drake May. You're looking for those guys, the big hits, the rookies, and essentially, when a customer gets a big hit and they see it live on stream, you got the whole Twitch chat going crazy. You got the breakers going crazy. The customers ecstatic. They're happy. They want to buy more. And now all of a sudden, that box is paid for. They got the big hit. So really, it's like a huge entertainment factor. And overall, it's just like a lot of fun. It's almost like, I don't want to use the G word in relation to the hobby, but it's almost like if you put in, you're watching a game and you throw a little sprinkle on it. You know what I mean? You throw a little sprinkle on it, and you're watching. And you're like you're just like kind of on the edge of your seat, waiting to see the big thing happen. So
gotcha. Interesting. There's a whole, it's crazy, like growing up, like I think we've talked about this every time that you've been on the show. Growing up, like I was big in collecting like Pokemon cards, and I would play the game, and then at one point I had a stint with like Magic the Gathering, like those kind of things. Card games have always been kind of near and dear to my heart, but nowadays I feel like all of those people that were like me are all adults now, and they have adult money.
Right.
And so it's so cool to kind of see this whole industry just grow and become as big as it is. I mean, you got guys like Like I think of like Logic or like Jake Paul, like when they have like they're making necklaces out of their first
slabs,
edition
yeah.
Charizards.
Yep.
And then even I mean, baseball card collecting has been a thing since baseball cards were a thing.
Right. I know it's just nuts to see. I mean, when I got the job at David Adams, like almost 2.5 years ago or so, I did not realize how much the card hobby had boomed. I mean, it was starting to grow even before COVID, but then when COVID hit, nobody had anything to do, and they got back into cards. They were digging out their collections. Breaks really started taking off during that. You know, there were breaks happening before then, but then after that, there was just so many new people coming to the hobby. And yeah, man, the cards now are absolutely insane. Magic the Gathering and Pokemon are still like a huge thing. Like you have no idea. We literally at David Adams, we made a whole breaking studio dedicated to like gaming and entertainment. It's called Nerd Out. It's honestly, I love all of our studios. It's one of my favorite studios because there's just like these lights in the background, like these LED lights of like just like Superman or like Wonder Woman. Like the set looks so awesome, and we got some passionate breakers when it comes to like Magic the Gathering and Pokemon and all that, and it's just really, really fun to see.
It's kind of cool seeing those two worlds collide between the love for sports, the love for card collecting. Things that would be kind of in the past deemed as nerdy are like they're mainstream now, which is pretty cool to see. It's awesome.
Yeah.
Also want to take this time and shout out, I don't think he has a camera on him, but just the voice. He'll just be the voice in the background.
The voice of God.
Yeah. Shout out our boy Mateo. Mateo is joining us as our producer. He is on the sticks back there, so shout out Mateo. Thank you for doing what you do, and looking forward to working with you and seeing how far we can take everything.
Big shouts, Mateo.
Big shouts. So, all that being said, let's get into some football.
Oh, heck yeah.
Talking about some week 3. All right. So, some of the big games that happened this past week, we have the Vikings are now 3-0. The Steelers are still 3-0 after both of their big wins. I mean, the Steelers took care of business against the Chargers, and then the Vikings, man, whoa, 34-7 to the Texans.
I bet Vikings money line, not to brag.
Did you really? Oh, we'll get there. I want to see. I know. I want to see your pick for later in the week.
Yeah, that was absolutely insane.
So, the question that I have for you, and it'll kind of be discussed throughout the show, is what do we make of these 3-0 teams, and specifically the Vikings and the Steelers? I mean, both of these teams were not expected to be 3-0 at this point in the season to start.
No, honestly, I think for the Steelers, I think it speaks a lot to their defense.
Yep.
Obviously, I don't think they've played anybody spectacular yet. I think, in all honesty, the best team that Pittsburgh played is maybe Atlanta.
Yeah.
But, like, Pittsburgh's defense is absolutely insane. If they can all just stay healthy, like, if TJ Watt has a full season, he might break his own record.
Yeah.
I mean, in all honesty, like, he's just absolutely nuts and a joy to watch play. And if their offense can literally just go out there and put up 17, 20 points maybe, like if Justin Fields is just consistent, doesn't turn the ball over, the team's going to be fine. And I mean, they've owned Baltimore the last few years. So, I mean, it's like I could definitely see them making a move and, possibly winning that division. It's going to be tough for their offense to, kind of be stagnant and still, contend in these games. Because I think overall Cincy's going to get better. We'll talk about Cincy in a little bit. Like, we'll get into that division. But as far as the Steelers, it all comes down to the defense in my eyes. The Vikings, man, did Darnold just need a change of scenery? Like, I mean, did he learn something in San Fran?
So we've been talking about Darnold. I've been talking about him with every guest that I've had the last few weeks. It's like I feel like there's so much to have been taken away from his season with Kyle Shanahan and the 49ers that I feel like I don't know what he did. I don't know what exactly changed in terms of his system, in terms of his mindset, or what it is, his mechanics even. Right. A lot of that is probably discussed behind closed doors, and he's just kind of quietly developing and just learning the game more and being able to sit behind. It's funny, he has to sit behind like a younger guy like Brock Purdy, but just seeing other quarterbacks and how they play and other offenses. To be fair, I mean, he was never really given a true chance. He was in the mess of the New York Jets.
The Jets were dumpster fire at the time.
In Carolina,
Carolina,
Also
dumpster
another
fire. Like, just awful
Spent
franchise.
Spent time with the 49ers. And I think once he got to see a team and an organization with a winner mentality, you're starting to reflect that onto the field. I mean, the Vikings, they're 12th in total offense in the NFL right now. They're sitting at 989 yards, and they're blowing teams out.
Like, if you would have told me, in July that Minnesota would be sitting 3-0 and, Darnold would be an MVP candidate right now. Are you nuts? Are you nuts? I literally thought, I think the Bills have a draft pick that they have from Minnesota or something for one of the trades.
They do.
And I was like, oh man, this is gonna be a great draft pick. Nope.
No, it's not.
Apparently no. So I mean, that team definitely has a chance. Their defense just needs to stay healthy, and if their offense can keep up this pace, I mean, they got probably the best receiver in football in Jay Jettis.
Yeah.
And, you throw in a healthy Jordan Addison. TJ Hawkinson's going to come back at some point. Aaron Jones has been great so far. I mean,
having a second wind in his career.
So it's not like Darnold has a lack of targets.
No.
I mean, the offense actually looks really good. So I think Minnesota has the better chance to kind of be that boom team. Where I think the Steelers, what you see now, is what you're going to get for a majority of the season.
Definitely.
But Vikings, that's just a total shock to me.
That's the biggest one. Like, if you would have told me Pittsburgh, I would have believed you more with Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
With Mike Tomlin.
Mike Tomlin. Yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
Never had a losing season.
Right.
Pittsburgh is always known for these just gritty. AFC North.
Ugly wins.
They describe the AFC North.
Yeah.
But
just ugly wins.
Minnesota. I was talking about Minnesota. I mean, just a month ago, I was talking about Minnesota being a top 3 overall pick.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, and like you said, with their draft pick, I'm like, oh, this is great. Like, we have a really high pick for what we got. I think it was it was either a second or a third. So I mean, yeah.
You know what's hilarious too is this is a team that pretty much the entire offseason, the plan was to start J.J. McCarthy.
Yep. Oh, yeah.
So it's like they're doing this with...
They were like, oh, yeah, we're going to be a 6-11 team to start. Like, it is what it is.
Yeah, we might as well take our lumps and give the rookie some experience. And now Darnold's on fire, man. It's crazy. I never thought I'd say that sentence in my life.
Absolutely electric.
Electric.
Moving on to Tampa Bay and New Orleans. Tampa Bay and New Orleans both kind of took an L, and they kind of set back to reality a little bit. Both teams had really good starts. I mean, at one point, we were talking about Tampa Bay being a potential Super Bowl contender.
Yeah.
And the same thing with the Saints. I mean, the Saints rolled the Cowboys week 2 and then kind of came back to reality this week. So what to make of them? Now, are we pumping down the brakes way more on them, or are we kind of staying as we were, or has it kind of met in the middle somewhere?
Dude,
I think, it's two different stories with these teams, I believe. But
yeah.
Go ahead.
The NFC South is just so confusing.
Yeah.
Everyone, I think Atlanta could be the best team in that division. I think Tampa could be the best team in that division. New Orleans, the way they started, I thought they were going to walk through that division.
Yep.
And then there's the Carolina Panthers. But that's besides the point. It's just like I'll always believe in Baker Mayfield. That's just how I am. I'm an Oklahoma fan.
Guy.
I'm a Baker stan, to say the least. I will believe in Baker. He was god awful last week. I mean, there's no other way to put it. And to Denver, I mean, that's just not a good look for them, because Denver was just dumpster fire. Like I said, absolute dumpster fire the first 2 weeks. But I mean, Sean Payton is a good coach. Sean Payton is a good coach for Denver, so he's going to have his teams bounce back. Tampa, though, I think they will bounce back from this. I truthfully, I have a parlay in that I think they're going to win that division.
All right.
I think they're going to win that division, but it's going to be, and same with the Saints, I think it's going to be where the team is 10-7, 9-8 that wins that division. It's just like they're almost like the AFC North of
that team. That division
of the NFC,
each other alive.
Where it's just like it's kind of ugly games when they play each other. The teams are winning 17-14. It's just ugly games, but they win, and then someone's got to win the division. I think it's gonna be Tampa, in total honesty.
Baker Mayfield, I just wanted to read you back his stat line versus Denver.
Oh, I know.
25 for 33, 163 yards passing, a touchdown, a pick, and a QBR of 10.3.
Yeah, it wasn't good. It wasn't good.
It's the QBR of 10.3 for me because I look at
It was awful.
his game against Detroit right next to it at 12 for 19, 185 yards, touchdown, a pick, near identical. 53.2 QBR. What was it between these two games that looked way worse?
He just every time I looked. So to be in full transparency, I had I live bet during the game, and I had plus 12.5, and it was 26-7. I'm like, all right, Baker, just score a touchdown, and we're good. End the game. Every time they got the ball, it was like turnover on downs, or I would just watch Baker Mayfield get sacked every single play. I'm like, what the heck is going on? So I truthfully, I think he just managed the game a lot better against Detroit.
Yeah.
Where Denver, they were behind from the start, and it's kind of not the formula to victory for Tampa, to say the least. I think they got to get up ahead, manage the game, and then just go from there. I'm not saying Baker can't come back because I'll never doubt my boy. Undoubtedly, will not doubt Baker Mayfield.
And then New Orleans. I mean, I think looking ahead, what to make of them as a team? Are they going to be kind of a playoff contender, or are they going to be a Super Bowl contender? Are they going to miss the playoffs entirely? I mean, they have the Falcons, and then they have the Chiefs, and then they have the Bucks in their next three.
Dude, I never know what to make of the Saints. And I mean, week 1 they looked great against Carolina.
Right.
Week 2 they looked great against Dallas, who's Dallas's offense. I'm pretty sure you and I could be playing offense for someone, and we might be able to score points on them. But then they face Philly. Philly, very good defense. Yep. I will admit, Philly has a very good defense. Derek Carr comes back down to life. So it's just I never know what to make of New Orleans, to be totally honest with you, because they're that team that's just on your do not bet list. Because when you bet for them, they lose. Yep. When you bet against them, they win. So I don't really know what to make of New Orleans anymore. I think they're like that hot and cold team where just one week they're going to put up 40 points, and then the next week they're going to play a better defense and score 13.
It reminds me of the Bills a couple years ago when they were blowing teams out and then got absolutely curb stomped by Indianapolis the next week.
Yeah.
Lost in Monday Night Football to the Broncos.
Yep. I was at that game. That was great.
I was also at that game, and that was absolutely brutal.
I wanted to call off work the next day. It was so bad.
The Panthers beat the Raiders 36-22. The Red Rifle is back in it.
Andy Dalton, baby.
Andy Dalton. I honestly, up until last week, I thought he retired. I didn't even realize he was still in the league.
I think a lot of people were like, "Oh yeah, they got Andy Dalton."
Since when?
Yeah, I think he's been with them for the last 2 seasons now. But it's nuts.
I wouldn't have believed it. So I'll ask you this: is it too early to tell? I mean, we're talking about Bryce Young, former number 1 overall pick, did not look good his rookie year. Obviously has looked abysmal to start the season and was benched.
Mm-hmm.
Was Bryce Young the problem?
Have any Alabama quarterbacks turned out to be much of anything? Tua's the exception.
Jalen Hurts.
He went to Oklahoma his last year.
That's true. That's a good point.
Hey, that's QBU right there.
Not Mac Jones.
No, Mac Jones.
We got to say, hey, we did see Mac Jones play football.
I know. And what's funny is the last time I saw Mac Jones was that Wind game. The Windy game. So I think you and I were together at that game.
Did I run into you?
I think so.
We probably did run into you.
I think we tailgated together.
Yeah, we probably did. I don't remember.
Yeah. But I remember that game. Mac Jones completed 2 passes. I think he completed 3 on Monday night. So I saw him complete more passes Monday with the Jaguars than I did with a full game with the Patriots. Stupid. But I think Bryce Young, maybe you just got to give him a little bit more time. I mean, number 1 overall pick, former Heisman. You're going to have those expectations just because of all your accolades, especially in college, playing for a great program like Alabama. And he did have a ton of success. Granted, he's in Carolina. They probably didn't have as great of targets as he did down in Alabama. But they actually went out and tried to help him out. They got Deontay Johnson. They drafted Leggett. They still had Thielen. It was just
And all things considered, too, I mean, they looked good in the preseason. And now I know it's preseason, but their offense looked sharp. I mean, they dropped 31 points and they played their starters, I think, all the way into the third quarter. They dropped most of their points then. against the Bills backups, which again, now that we're learning, the Bills backups are as good as their starters. They're holding their own, and all of their play calls, sure, it might have been a little more vanilla, but they looked sharp. So I don't know what happened between the preseason and the regular season that flip switched off. But it's like you look at some of these plays, and Bryce Young just isn't even making the right. Like he's not even throwing good. Like he looked like his throws have all been terrible.
Yeah.
So.
And I hate to say this as a short king, but like, can he just not see over the line? I'm being serious. Like, I mean, it sucks to say, but I mean, like, there was one play where like Thielen was wide open in week 2, and just like, I think it was I think he just overthrew someone, and I was just like, Thielen's out there like this, and it's just like throw the ball to him, but could he not see him? That was a big thing.
You might have to start taking notes from Kyler or something. Like.
Yeah, Kyler's just a freak athlete. I don't even know what to say about him.
And then we already mentioned him, but the Bengals fell to 0-3. Is it time to panic yet? I mean, Joe Burrow is no stranger to starting 0-2.
Right.
The Cincinnati Bengals are no stranger to starting 0-2. They are historically in the Joe Burrow era a slow September team. At 0-3, I mean, the offense finally came back to life a little bit, but it's a 3-team game really,
right,
between offense, defense, and special teams. It seems like there isn't that sense of focus that team has as a full, and
right.
I don't know if it's gonna get better or who it's gonna get better against.
Well, I'll tell you one thing: if they're 0-4 next week, we better start having this conversation even further because they're playing the Carolina Panthers this week. So it's like, if you lose this week, there's an issue. But, I mean, the Bengals, notoriously slow starters.
Yep.
We've noticed that the last few years, and then Burrow and crew just kind of gets in a groove, and then they get moving. And obviously, I still think they might be a playoff team this year. Sure. But I think people got to remember, too, they lost a lot on defense. The whole Jamar Chase contract thing is bonkers. It's a mess, yeah. And I think, you've seen where there's drama at the wide receiver position. Sometimes it causes issues. This one might be hitting home for Buffalo fans, but like sometimes that drama does, spawn over to the field.
That's a good point because they also have 2 receivers that could be a wide receiver 1.
T. Higgins would be Buffalo's wide receiver 1
easily.
Yeah,
he'd walk in, have no practice time, and be wide receiver 1 for the Bills. Looking ahead at the Bengals schedule, so like you said, they have the Panthers this week. They have the Ravens the following week, and then the Giants, and then the Browns. I mean, you're looking at, and the expectation is what, 3-1 at least?
3-1 at the very least.
That would put them at what, 3-4 to start the year.
Mm-hmm.
And then, I mean, looking just ahead a little bit, you still have the Eagles, the Ravens again, the Chargers, which are showing signs of life. I mean, they lost last week, but they look decent. And then they have tough divisional games lined up too. They have the Steelers still.
Yep.
They have the Cowboys later on in the season. So I don't know. This team the more and more that goes on, like some of these games in the very beginning of the year should have been layups. They should have been games that they had to have going ahead. Obviously, aside from the Chiefs and the Bengals, I mean that's been a years-long rivalry. But the Patriots and the Commanders, if I'm a Bengals fan, I expected nothing less than 2-1 to start the season.
Yeah. Well, and then you look into the upcoming week. Like Bengal fans probably, if before Sunday, they're probably looking at their next week, week 4. Like, okay, well at least we got Carolina next week. We should be good. Andy Dalton comes out firing over 300 yards, 3 touchdowns. Now Bengal fans lose Monday night, and they're probably like, we can't even be comfortable about the Panthers game, which is nuts.
And that's the point it's gotten to. Where if I'm a Bengals fan, I'm gripping my seat for this game. This is ridiculous. We'll talk about this game specifically later on in the show, but I don't know. I'm looking at the Bengals, and I think they're right now sitting as a 7-10 team.
No, it's crazy. And you made a great point. AFC North, they still got to play the Steelers. They still got to play the Ravens. I'm sorry, they still got to play the Browns. The Browns have owned them the last few years.
They have every single divisional game left to play. I don't think they're going to have a winning record in the division. I think they're 3-3 at best in the division.
Yeah.
So you already chalked that up. I mean, you're talking about 6 losses to begin with.
That's nuts.
I don't know. If I'm a Bengals fan, I'm clutching my pearls. I'm not.
Yeah, yeah. I'm a little worried. I'm like like 65% to 70% panic.
Yep.
You lose this week, I think it's like 97% panic.
Yeah.
Like it's just like, oh no, this is not good.
I want to switch over to the segment. I want to bring back. We didn't have one last week because it was we recorded at a weird time in a weird studio, but bringing back Big Yak of the Week.
Oh heck yeah,
My man.
the name of the show.
I said this the first time we introduced this. I'm like, it took me 3 NFL seasons to think of Big Yak of the Week.
Hey,
it's like right in front of my
you
face.
You can't rush art, man. You can't rush art. Some things just take time.
Simply. So, for my Big Yak of the Week, we have a guy that you would never expect to be featured on this show ever.
What do you mean? He's the best wide receiver to ever step foot in the NFL.
He spent time on the Eagles. He spent time. He was on the Patriots at one point, right?
Yep.
He spent time now with the Ravens.
Yeah.
And we're gonna see it here. Bring out my guy Nelson Agholor. 56-yard catch.
You brought me on to talk about Nelson Agholor. Look at that Cowboys defense. Just pristine coverage, pristine tackling.
Couldn't touch him.
I mean, you got to give credit to the guy. If he's been known for one thing, it's his speed. Like, he is able to outrun people. Like, that, great play on his part. But, like, Dallas defense, my God, man.
Zooey.
Yeah.
He had some speed on that, too.
He did. What was the overall yak on that?
The overall yak. So I have it up here. 51 yards of yak. That's half the football field. He had half the football field in yak. So Next Gen Stats had this brought up. So the expected yak that he was going to get after that first tackle was 2 yards. He was expected to get 2 yards after that first contact. He had 48 yards above expected yak. That's good, according to Next Gen Stats, for the third highest all season already.
That's bonkers.
Yeah.
I mean, and like I said, I think the Cowboys have a lot to do with that. But, I mean, it's still, you got to give credit where credit's due. And
it's
that
funny.
was a
I
hell
didn't
of an
even
effort.
realize this now that I'm saying it out loud. This is the second time I'm doing this segment. Both times have been Ravens players.
I'm trying to think who the other
first
one
was
was.
Isaiah Likely week 1 after he had that insane juke move sent. I
scored
couldn't
on the
remember who
play.
it was. Yeah,
He
scored on the play.
Yeah, that's
sent
right.
the defender to the shadow realm, like absolutely annihilated him. Like it was over.
Isaiah
And-
Likely, man. He's a starter in my 32-man league. And week 1, I'm like, I got to seal the draft. The next 2 weeks, he is not. He's had 6 points in the last 2 weeks. Drives me nuts.
I had to stay away from him because I had a gut feeling that this was going to happen. Dropped 35 points or whatever he dropped week 1, and then, throw a couple duds. Because Mark Andrews is still there.
He is.
He's still alive and well, and Lamar's not throwing him the ball either.
Nope.
It's a different offense than we're used to for the Ravens.
Yeah. Well, you throw in King Henry. That throws in a little, throws in a wrench into things.
But my thing with the Ravens is they're not even really utilizing him. I feel like this week versus the Cowboys, this was really when we started to see him let loose.
Yeah.
But I feel like he was on a snap count for the first 2 weeks.
Yeah, it felt like it.
I saw way too much Justice Hill for my liking when you have Derrick Henry in your backfield and Lamar Jackson in your backfield. You have your Thunder and Lightning right there. You don't need Justice Hill in here. Keaton Mitchell, when he comes back, is going to be a great kind of complimentary piece, but I'm sorry. I'm sick of Justice Hill.
Yeah, it was like old school Ravens where it was like, okay, granted he's been hurt the last few years, I know, but like it's like, okay, we'll give a couple carries to J.K. Dobbins here. Yep. Then we're gonna go to Gus Edwards. Hey, Justice, come here. And then it's just like you couldn't pick up a Baltimore running back because one, health, and then two, like you never knew who was actually going to play for them. Exactly. Now it's like it's King Henry. Give him the damn ball.
It's like the Ravens aren't even used to having like a bona fide workhorse feature back. And,
right.
Yeah, they don't know what to do with it.
Yeah.
So going into my next segment too. This is another new one since you've been here. Got to talk about the toast of the week. Now this is a working title. I don't have a title, so if you have an idea for this title, please let me know.
Toast of the week doesn't sound bad.
Toast of the week sounds easy, but it follows Big Yak of the week, so I feel like there's like of the week. There's too many of the weeks.
I don't know. give me a few minutes.
So yeah, I want to talk about a young quarterbacks are taking over the league.
It's true.
I talked about this a little bit last week too, where it feels like every week there's a new freak of nature athlete, and it's almost becoming to the point where it's like if you don't have your own freakazoid quarterback, you're not hanging.
No.
The newest iteration of that, my guy Jaden Daniels, Washington Commanders, came out and beat the brakes off of the Cincinnati defense, scoring 38 points. 21 for 20. He didn't even have to do much. He did 21 for 23, 254 yards, 2 touchdowns. Had a great game. This is now the second game in a row for him as a rookie quarterback to have not had to punt. He took punter Tressway's number and told him, "You're not seeing the field either, buddy."
Yeah. Remember when Caleb Williams told the guy he wasn't going to have to punt much this year? How's that working out? I'm just curious.
32nd ranked total offense in the league.
Yeah, not bad.
He had a decent week last week. 354 yards, threw the ball 52 times. But
Yeah, cool. And a loss.
still L. Still another L.
But yeah, no, Jaden Daniels has been so good. I mean, and
he has been stellar.
his rushing, I'm not surprised by. Like I had a feeling like he was going to light it up with his legs. But
he added 12 carries for 39 yards and a touchdown against Cincinnati last week. I mean, when you have anytime you have a dual threat quarterback like that, it keeps defenses guessing. And he was way too much to handle for Cincinnati's defense. Again, 38 points. And then, again, going in last week, dropped 21 points in the New York Giants, but didn't punt once. So, to pitch a toast to my guy, Jaden Daniels, a
what do
young
you got?
guy in the league, I have some Weller Special Reserve.
Okay.
So Weller Special Reserve is near and dear to my heart. Weller 12 Year is one of my favorite bourbons.
Okay.
So this is their Special Reserve. This is their green label. This is one of their younger bourbons.
Okay.
See what I did there? Younger players taking over the league.
Okay. Fair.
Younger bourbon has taken over my heart.
See, I'm on this beer kick. There's this beer out there in the world. It is the most crisp, refreshing, light beer that I've ever had. It's very fancy. The cans have multiple colors. It's called Labatt Blue Light. It's one of my favorites of all time. Oh my goodness.
Of course, we're pitching a
Nearest
toast.
premium whiskey. Okay. This is great.
This is a snifter glass. You ever drank out of a snifter glass before?
Are you supposed to sniff it?
So you want to remember how in
in
high school you have to waft, not sniff, because you don't want alcohol.
Yeah.
Yep. Bingo. Just like that.
Got it. It's going straight to the brain.
Goes right up your nose. So this bourbon's great. This is a really smooth sipper. Take the first sip lightly. That'll go past the alcohol burn.
Okay.
And then after that second sip is when all those flavors will open up. So you're gonna get notes of caramel, notes of oak. Notes of butterscotch, even, if you will, if you're into that sort of thing.
Can I just down this?
Do it.
I'm joking. Nico's talking to me like I've never drank alcohol before. All right.
There's the first one. Toast to Jaden Daniels. Nice, light, easy sipper.
That's not bad.
It's
not. I'm not. I will admit, I'm not a huge bourbon guy.
Yep.
I like from time to time, whatever. I'll have one. Huge beer guy.
Yep.
As you can tell, it's starting to hit me, man. It's starting to hit me. The people are like, this dude's a twig. You're not living in my body right now. So, but my toast of the week, Andy Dalton.
It's the Red Rocket.
Andy Dalton coming off the bench for the lowly Carolina Panthers and just absolutely tearing up the Las Vegas Raiders. Can't say Oakland anymore. They don't have any teams as of tomorrow. But Andy Dalton just being able to come off the bench, do what he did.
He's 36.
Yeah. Just to get that team a win. 'Cause I've been on some bad teams in my life, as an athlete. When you're like a really bad team, it is absolutely demoralizing.
Yep.
Niagara Falls High School golf, we went like 0-14 my 10th grade year. It was the worst season of my life. I could not deal with it. But you get a win, it boosts morale. Now, he gets to face his old team.
Yeah.
And my big take of the week, Panthers upset the Bengals.
Look out. Look out. Andy Dalton, 26 for 37, 319 passing yards, 3 touchdowns, no picks. 123.6 passer rating and an 87.1 QBR.
Not bad.
Took care of business against old Vegas, huh?
Pretty good numbers. And Vegas, that's a whole other conversation. Is Minshew the man? Is Minshew mania running out?
Man, I don't even know if Antonio Pierce knows. He said, did you see that press conference?
He was like, we may have a QB change.
He goes, I don't know, got to go ask the players. Dude, you're the coach.
Yeah.
You make that decision.
Goodness
I don't
gracious.
know, man. I don't know. I almost said Oakland. Las Vegas has come to the point where they're also one of those organizations that it's just like a loser organization.
Yeah.
You look at the Panthers.
They beat the Ravens.
Yeah. I can't
In
believe it.
Baltimore.
That says a lot about the Ravens and how dysfunctional I feel
Yeah.
like they're starting their season.
Unbelievable.
But, man, Jane Daniels, Mr. Andy Dalton, cheers to them.
Cheers. Love it. This is a good segment.
It's a great segment, right?
Can I just come back every week for this segment?
Yeah. I'll pan to you over there. You just got like an assortment of different beers. All right, this week's toast of the
Beers.
week
There's
is
just a bottle of Pink Whitney on the thing. Because, I'm classy. I drink the classy stuff.
That's
Pink
right.
Whitney.
makes it go down easy.
Deep
right?
Eddies.
I want to take this time today to talk about our sponsor, Underdog. Now just known as Underdog. They are no longer Underdog Fantasy. They have now dropped the fantasy. They are now Underdog. That is official as of today. I'm allowed to talk about it, so
Wow.
shout out to them.
Nice.
I want to talk to them today about. I want to talk to you guys today about their pick'ems. So I am proud to be partnering with Underdog. It's my favorite place to play all of my fantasy games. You got to just check out their pick'em. It's so easy to play. Just pick 2 to 8 stats of your favorite players and choose whether they'll go higher or lower. Nowadays, you can go up to 1,000 times your money by going 8 for 8.
Wow.
That sounds like fun. Download their app today using my code BIGYAC, that's BIGYAC, to get your first deposit of up to $1,000 matched. Cannot wait to see your entries. So that being said, I do have an Underdog Pick 5. Usually what I do with these nowadays is I relate them all to Thursday Night Football. So we have a real stinker for Thursday Night Football in Dallas and New York.
I have a happy hour, and then I'm going to watch a high school football game. That's what I think of the Thursday night game. Sucks.
Honestly, the way that high school football has been nowadays, I think it's going to be more of an entertaining game.
Well, I'm going to watch really 2 high-powered high school teams.
You
Niagara
got,
Falls and Niagara Wheatfield.
That's a rivalry game
It's-
right there.
but
that's a
yeah.
big game.
Yeah, Chris was like, "You want to go to that?" I'm like, "Sure."
Chris be like, hey, you want to throw a couple bucks on it too?
Oh no! Don't put that out in the out. Don't put that out in the open. Don't do that. Don't dox me here. You guys are never gonna see me after this episode. Whatever happened to that Yarga guy? He got canceled for betting high school football. I don't do that, okay?
Yeah, he never said you.
True.
Man, did you see? Speaking of high school football, did you see South Park?
That kid went off.
Adam Nunes, Bam. He goes by Bam. 593 yards, 7 touchdowns. Whoa.
I was sitting there like deep thinking about this. Could you imagine playing defense against him?
You want to talk about demoralizing?
It's just like
Whoa.
their quarterback threw 5 passes and went 1 of 5. And he had 28 carries for 593 yards, I believe it was.
Single state record.
Yeah.
Single game state record.
Imagine, okay, hey, they're just handing it off here. Well, there he goes. Oh, okay, we're back on defense. Got another carry coming.
There he goes.
There he goes. 500. There are teams that don't get 593 yards in like a 3-week span. Yeah, in high school.
Yeah.
He had it in one game, one sitting.
593 is you get guys that do that in a season and then get scouted to like D1 colleges.
Yeah. Bonkers.
It's unreal. So shout out to Bam, shout out to South Park High School. Man, Buffalo sports, it's back. 3 Bills live, all from UB, all starting in a game. It's the first time it's ever happened. UB, Buffalo sports is back. UB
beat NIU.
Let's talk about NIU too. Oh my goodness!
Hey, so
first ranked win since 2007, I think. Right?
It's nuts. It's
Unreal.
nuts. So NIU obviously beat Notre Dame.
Yep.
UB beat NIU.
That must
What
be.
it means UB is better than Notre Dame. I mean, it's just the proof is in the pudding right there. I mean, the stats are right there to prove it.
Where's Buffalo's rank at this point?
I know.
Put them in at 21. Is that what happens? You beat a ranked team, you get their ranking.
Pretty much, I guess so. Just ask NIU. You know what though? You think about it, like that NIU probably doesn't even care now. Like that was their high. That was their party.
They beat Notre Dame.
They beat number 5 Notre
Everything
Dame.
else is whatever.
Yeah, it's gravy. Go win a MAC title. Go win the Bad Boys Gasparilla Bowl, and then call it a season.
The Bad Boy. That was
The Bad Boy Mowers Gasparilla Bowl.
That's what Syracuse was in last season. They're in the Bad Boy Mowers Pinstripe Bowl.
Hey,
They're in.
your boys blew one the other night, man.
I was doing the show while it was happening.
Oh, so were you doing like a watch party?
No, I was just watching the show, watching the game while doing the show.
Oh man!
And I was just kept eyeing it, and then I got to catch the end of it on my drive home, and that was the saddest drive home ever. It was so close, and it was in the bag too. I mean, they went up, and then all you had to do was get a stop. Punt it, get a stop, and then defense. I mean, going into the season, I knew Syracuse's defense was going to be the problem.
Yeah.
I mean, they have so much firepower on their offense now.
McCord looks great.
Kyle McCord looks fantastic. Trevor Pena looks unreal. Runda Gadsden is going to be a day 2 pick. Like, all of this is lining up to a fantastic season, but that defense, especially with Marlo Wax out being... Deuce Chestnut was kind of a saving grace for us, getting him back. Starting at Syracuse, going to LSU, and then coming back to Syracuse after...
College football these days, man.
You know what? While I'm thinking of it, did you see the UNLV?
Did you see their running back did the same thing?
Earlier today, right?
Yeah. Their quarterback basically said, I'm done redshirting, entering transfer portal. My needs were not met.
So for those of you that aren't tuned in, UNLV's quarterback... The claim is this is what allegedly happened, was offered $100,000 worth of NIL deals to transfer to UNLV
from Holy Cross.
I saw a segment on Barstool earlier about this. Like,
yeah.
Imagine that's the craziest transition ever. Holy Cross to Vegas.
Yeah. That's the best of both worlds right there.
But yeah, so he was promised $100,000 to transfer to UNLV, and he has not seen any of it. They haven't shown him any sort of deals whatsoever. So he was like, "Screw this, I'm out. You didn't show me the money, so I'm not playing for you. I'm redshirting the rest of my year."
Yeah, I want to know.
Back to the thing.
I want to know what was said to him that sparked it like this,
right?
Or what happened, because usually I've never seen this happen before.
College football, because of NIL, the landscape has changed completely.
I just wonder if him doing that is going to spark other dudes to like kind of, what's the word I'm looking for? Kind of basically show like, hey, I'm not getting everything.
So this might be a hot take for me, but I look at this and I know a lot of people are going to be like, "Oh, NIL is ruining college. NIL is doing this. Like, it's ruining the integrity of the game." My question for all those people is, if a coach was promised that much money and he didn't get it, would you expect him to stay also? So why is it any different for a player?
That's the way I looked at it. So being an athlete, I looked at it too. I looked at it from an athletic standpoint, and I looked at it from like a job perspective. My athletic perspective is like, wow, you quit on your team. You're 3-0. You're probably like top 30 right now. No one expected you guys to be good, and here you are. Like, people actually thought they could make like the top 15 or whatever, and maybe get into the playoff. Now that it's expanded, the job side of me, if I like applied for a job that said, hey, we're paying you $100K for this job yearly, and we want you. Okay. Yeah, I'll work for you. No. And you make $50K, like in that year. What am I doing here?
Right.
Yeah.
I was only promised half of my money. And in this case, he didn't get any of it. He hasn't seen any of it yet.
It's nuts.
So, I don't know. I look at it like that because, he's a full-time student too. Like, it's not like he was like, I'm dropping out. Like, he's not he's going to have to complete his classes and whatnot. But him being a player, that's his job. Like you said, I mean, it's, all those extra hours that are put into the week for football, all the travel time. Like,
yep.
To me, I think he should be compensated for all that. I know that for whatever reason, people think that as like, oh, it's ruining the integrity of the game. But if anything, what difference is that of college football? I'm going to put this out for you. What difference is college football than a job internship with another major?
Yeah.
If these guys are that serious about playing and they play college football to be looked at and prospected by NFL teams. What difference is that from going to an internship to be prospected for your career? It's the same thing. It's the same career. Why shouldn't he get paid? Why shouldn't he get compensated for what he does? That's what I have to say to everyone who's like, oh, it's ruining the integrity of the game.
I do think some instances the NIL is a little crazy.
Oh, 1,000%.
Like, do I think a college kid should be making like multiple $1 million a year? Like, I don't know.
No.
Because
that's a lot of money for a young
majority of the time you're still young and dumb when you're in college, and it's just like, oh yeah, I'm gonna go buy a Rollie. Like I'm just like, kids these days, they don't know to like save and invest. Some do, some don't. But it's like, if I got $1 million, I don't know what I would do with it.
In this case, you're talking about $100,000.
Yeah.
Give the kid his $100,000.
Yeah.
Give the kid the deals that he
wants. It's UNLV. Right. Like it's not like they're hurting for money. No. There's absolutely no way that UNLV is hurting for money.
Right.
Like, so, that's unreal.
I don't know. I'm with him. I get it. But all that being said, underdog pick 5. Thursday Night Football.
We really steered off course. I apologize. We
went on a but no, that's okay because I felt like that was on my chest and I needed to get it out.
Hey, how do you feel? How do you feel now?
I feel much better. I feel relieved.
That's good.
To let off my steam.
That's good. Pick 5.
Pick 5. So we have Dallas and New York Thursday Night Football. Kind of a stinker. Both of these teams are 1-2 going into this week. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Gross.
I feel like this is going to be a week where Dallas rights the ship. But that being said, I have 4 Cowboys and 1 Giant in this pick 5. So starting with Dak Prescott, 1.5 passing touchdowns. I'm going to take the higher on that. I think this is where Dak kind of gets his footing back, takes care of business, slows it down, gets back to foundations, gives it to CeeDee Lamb a ton. Like I feel like this is going to be a big game for CeeDee Lamb. I feel like one of those touchdowns at least are going to go to CD. I could see both of those touchdowns going to CD.
Fair. Yep.
Moving into my next pick. That being said, I have CeeDee Lamb, 85.5 rushing receiving yards. I have the higher. I think this is going to be a really big game for CeeDee Lamb. Moving on to Malik Neighbors, 6.5 receptions.
That kid is special.
I'm going to take the higher there. You can just throw it in a 5-6 foot vicinity of the kid, and he will catch it.
Some of the catches he made against Cleveland, and Cleveland is very good defense.
Yep.
Some of those catches he made were unreal.
Right. The defender couldn't even do anything. Like, it was a perfectly played play.
Just great
by the
body
defender.
control, just unreal.
And he is every bit as advertised as what was he, number 5 overall pick?
I believe so.
As advertised. Moving on to Brandon Cooks. Longest reception, 18.5 yards. Give me the higher there. I think we're going to see a deep ball to Brandon Cooks. I think he's good for a deep ball a game or maybe a yak play. We might be featuring him on Big Yak of the Week.
Is he going to be the week 4 Big Yak?
He might. We'll see. And then lastly, Brandon Aubrey. I think this is going to be a lot of points scored in this game. So kicking points at 7.5. Give me the higher there.
Okay.
So all of that would have paid me back out 14.64 times whatever I put in, thanks to Underdog Fantasy.
Wow.
So what is that? $5 would put you at, I don't know, $65, $75.
That's not bad at all.
Easy money right there.
Not bad.
It pays to watch the Big Yak and listen to us ramble. It pays.
I honestly would take that. I think, especially the Brandon Aubrey.
Yep.
Brandon Aubrey is so underrated.
Agreed.
He might be the best kicker in football.
I saw this stat where Brandon Aubrey, it was like it laid out what ranking he would be for total points across each of the stat. He'd be like QB 6, wide receiver 2.
That's, oh my God.
RB 10, tight end 5, or something like that. Like
that's insane.
He's like ranking like as an RB1, a QB1, a wide receiver 1, tight end 1.
That's ridiculous, man. That's unreal.
So I don't know, Brandon Aubrey. That being said, let's kind of dive into that game a little bit as we transition into Take It to the Bank. So Thursday Night Football, Dallas is 5.5-point favorites against the Giants. Do you think Dallas is going to be able to right the ship?
Yes. I actually think Dallas will bounce back this week. Giants, great week. I have no faith in Cleveland, though.
Yep.
I think I just don't know what the hell is going on in Cleveland. Deshaun Watson's terrible. So I'm going to go with Dallas this week. Obviously, great win for the Giants last week, but Dallas I would take -5.5.
Great. I'm right with you there. I think
Or
that's
minus
gonna
5, whatever it
give
is.
you the points. Yeah, 5. Has it moved to 5?
I got 4.5 right here,
Oh, wow.
but this was something else. So
Or are you on FanDuel?
no, I am not.
Aha.
I'm on CBS Sports. This is my Super 7.
Okay. All right. FanDuel has them at 5.5, so I would jump over to CBS and take them at 4.5. That's easy money. That is easy money. Moving on to Bengals at Panthers. Yes, I am featuring this game this week because why not? The 1-2 Panthers versus the 0-3. Let's talk about it. I mean, hey, Cincinnati's 4.5 point favorites. I'm taking the Panthers with the points.
I'm taking Panthers with the points. 100% taking the Panthers with the points. If Andy Dalton can play like he did last week, it's a no-brainer. I mean, Washington just put up 38. Like, I mean, come on. Like, no-brainer. Carolina just put up 33 last week. I think it's going to be back and forth, but definitely a high-scoring game.
Yeah, the over-under is set at 46.5.
Over.
Take the over.
Over.
I mean, I see this
Hundo.
at least being a
100%.
27-24 type game.
Yep.
I think ultimately at the end of the day, the Bengals will pull out this one, but I'm taking the Panthers with the points. Bengals are going to win by a field goal. It's not going to be that close.
I know I said Panthers are like Andy Dalton's going to go in and beat his former team. That's a rough guess, obviously. But you know, you would think Cincy should be able to, get in the win column here.
Andy Dalton's passing props are out already. His over/under for yard is set at 231.5. You can get plus money on his passing touchdowns, though. 1.5, sitting at plus 130.
I would definitely take the yards, for sure. Because there's definitely a chance that they're behind in this game, so they're going to be chucking it.
I think there's going to be a lot of... Especially, I mean, that running back room is not anything...
Hubbard and Sanders, yeah.
It's just
which is crazy we're saying that about Miles Sanders.
Yeah.
Miles Sanders,
from grace he's been.
Just nuts.
I'm excited to see what Jonathan Brooks can do when he gets back, but I'm almost like, should he take his time getting back with this Carolina offensive line?
Yeah. Yeah, probably.
But, man, yeah, 231.5, I think that's something I would definitely take to the bank, cash out right away. Moving on to Commanders and Cardinals.
Oh, God.
like
this is a sneaky, sneaky good game.
I like this a lot. This is two frisky playoff picks. We're going to get to my tier list right after this.
Oh, I can't wait for this.
And these are two frisky playoff contenders right here. So this is quietly a massive game for the NFC playoff picture. Both of these teams, I think, are going to be fighting for a wild card spot come at this point. What is it, January? It's like till January for them? Yeah. Arizona's 3.5 point favorites at home right now. I like the Commanders.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Kyler Murray. I love you, but I'm rolling with the Commanders here. They've looked too good the last few weeks to where it's tough not to pick them.
They've taken care of business, and I mean that offense is absolutely electric under Jaden Daniels. He's finding his stride. Terry McLaurin finally has a quarterback to throw to him, and he's looking every bit the part of Scary Terry that we're used to seeing. I'm sitting here and plus money, plus 156. It just feels free.
Yeah,
that feels free. Over/under set at 50.5. I'd even think about taking the over, but
well, after last week with Arizona,
that's what I'm saying,
dude, it was like 20-13 in the first 16 minutes of the game.
Yeah,
and I was hammering the live line overs. They scored 3 points the rest of the game. It was stupid. I'm like, come on.
Arizona is a sneaky, really good team. I think that first loss by the Bills really said a lot for them as a team.
Yeah,
they kind of kept it in there toe-to-toe with the Bills.
It was a closer game than the score.
They were up 17-3 at the half. I mean, it was a competitive game all the way until, I think, halfway through the fourth quarter. So I like the Cardinals. I think they ultimately are going to be a team contending for a playoff spot come January. And the same thing with the Commanders. I think this is going to be a really good game to watch. And if you're not doing anything at 4 o'clock, I mean, this is the game to watch, I think, especially over the Chiefs and the Chargers. Or the Browns and the Raiders.
Oh, yeah. Don't watch the Browns and Raiders. If you are thinking about watching Browns and Raiders and you are not a Browns or Raiders fan, you should lower your head and run directly into the closest wall that is near you.
If you're putting money on this game, call the number. Call the number.
Just, that game's going to be gross.
Ooh. Vikings at Packers. So this is a huge game for the landscape of the NFC North. This is probably going to be the return of Jordan Love. And
Rip Malik Willis, man. He had a great 2 weeks.
he looked the part. And this is the same thing that I talk about Sam Darnold. You go from a loser organization. Sorry, Titans, you're a loser organization. I don't know what to say.
You are. It's 100%.
To Green Bay, a historic winning organization. You see a difference in the coaching, and it all plays a huge part in just the pieces around you. Malik Willis is kind of having himself a restart to his career. I think he's going to go somewhere. He could be. I honestly think that he could start somewhere next year.
Probably.
Look the part.
They believe in him in Green Bay. They didn't believe in him in Tennessee.
Bingo.
So,
Green Bay comes in this game as 2.5-point favorites at home.
wow. With the way Minnesota's been playing.
After beating the brakes off of the Texans.
I think I'm going to take Vikings with the points.
Yeah.
Just the way they've been playing the last few weeks, and they were pretty sure they were home underdogs against Houston too. So it's like, I think I'm gonna roll with Minnesota here.
There's not enough there's not enough information yet, or a big enough sample size to really go against the odds against the spread right now.
Mm-hmm.
But my gut feeling, and I feel like you have to with like the first like 5-6 weeks of the season, you really just have to go off of like what you're seeing.
Yeah, pretty much.
There's no trends that you can really look at just yet, and my gut tells me to take plus 2.5 on Minnesota. I mean, the money line is sitting at plus 120. I don't know.
It's tough. They did it last week.
It's fun.
They did it last week.
It's fun. Over under set at 43.5. That's another one where I don't know, the over might hit.
I think because I was thinking the
Vikings
under
can score 30 points alone.
Yeah, I was thinking the under in the Packers Titans last week,
Yep.
and it went way over.
Yep.
And the Packers, even with Malik Willis, have been like really stellar, and now you might get Jordan Love back. So
I think that offense is going to come to life. I think this is going to turn into a shootout. Divisional games are always kind of weird. You never know what to expect out of them because these teams just know each other so
Right.
well. So it could go in either direction. Could be a wild range of results. Typically, I don't like betting on divisional games.
Right.
But hey, if I'm looking at this, I'm putting money on it. I'm taking Vikings plus 2.5.
yeah, we say shootout, it's going to be like 16-14. Pretty much.
21-17 if we're lucky.
Yep.
Lastly, got to talk about the hometown team. Bills at Ravens. The Bills look like the best team in the league right now. Hats off to them.
They do, but the media should keep that same energy. Keep that same energy they had in July. That's all I'm going to say.
Here we
Now,
go.
We're nothing without Stephon Diggs, right? Yeah.
Ravens are 2.5-point favorites.
They're at
against
home.
The Bills.
That's fair.
They're giving them the 3-point favorites. Is this the litmus test for the Bills? Are we going to finally be able to shake off the Bills haven't faced anyone just yet?
Yeah, I listen. Everything in my heart and my head says take the Bills minus 2.5. But it's tough going into Baltimore. Baltimore is definitely not an easy place to play. We went there just 2 years ago, and we came in and left with a W. Had to come back in that game.
Yep.
But I don't know. They're going to have to be able to stop the run. Obviously, it all starts with King Henry, and then Lamar. Lamar is Lamar. He is undoubtedly one of the best quarterbacks in football.
I'll throw you their props real quick. Derrick Henry's over-unders for yardage is sitting at 68.5. Lamar's is sitting at 58.5.
I would go over on Lamar and then under on Henry.
I feel like last week was the first time where we saw the Bills actually be able to stop the run game.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like the Jags abandoned the run game at some point into the game because they just couldn't keep up with the Bills' offense. But Buffalo has, if there's one kind of weak point of Buffalo right now, it's the run defense. And just honestly, defending the running back. So whether it be in the short-term passing game or in the running game, both of those areas have been kind of struggle points for the Bills.
Yeah.
Derrick Henry is not traditionally known as a passing threat.
Right.
They'll throw him the ball occasionally over the years, but I don't think we'll see a lot from that front. But just being able to get big up front in the front four. I mean, this is going to be a huge game for Daquan Jones, a huge game for even this will be the first game where we really get to see Javon Solomon in full throttle too, the rookie from this past draft. I think the pass rush is going to be huge, and just the containment of Lamar Jackson. I think that the advantage the Bills have going into this game is this defense has to face Josh Allen every week in practice, and Josh Allen, I mean, he's more of a rugged and physical runner. Lamar Jackson has a little more finesse moves to him, but you get to see that dual threat quarterback every week. I think I remember, was it the playoff game where they were using Isaiah McKenzie as Lamar Jackson? And I feel like we'll see a lot of that too, using like Curtis Samuel as
you could, for sure.
So I don't know. This is going to be an interesting game to see. I feel like there's going to be a lot of focus on stopping Lamar, that it's going to probably turn into a Derrick Henry 100-yard game, 100 yards touchdown type game.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, I think Buffalo is the better team at this point in the season. I think they'll ultimately pull away with the win, but it's going to be a close one. This is going to be a dogfight. It's not going to be like this Jacksonville game.
It's going to be the closest game of the year, for sure. Obviously, we've blown every team out pretty much. I would say our toughest game was definitely Arizona.
Yep.
But I think in the end of the day, do we come out with a victory? I do think so. We have played well in Baltimore before. It's not easy to go there.
No.
Like I said, a few years ago, we had to come from behind. They got to make Lamar a passer. That's for sure. Set the tone early. Get up. Make it where they can't really afford to run the ball.
Yep.
Take that away from them. Dorian Williams, got to be a big game for him.
Step it up. And he stepped up.
Yeah.
He was the highest rated, according to PFF, he was the highest rated Bill
over
Josh Allen in that game versus Jacksonville.
And I know, like, when Bernard got hurt, like, obviously it sucked. Like, I'm like, man, that Bernard's such a huge loss.
Yep.
But just watching Williams a few times last year and seeing how he attacks the ball, and he's just so quick, and like when he hits someone, you feel it. You feel it watching it on TV. Like, I think we need a big game out of him, because obviously he's probably going to be the one guy that's kind of keeping an eye on Lamar here and there.
The silver lining here, Baltimore currently has the worst passing defense in the league. They're sitting at 875 yards allowed and 4 touchdowns over the air. I think right now Buffalo's passing offense, it speaks for itself.
Right. It's just they're taking what's given to them.
So many, like, every week features a new guy. I think Khalil Shakir has been the most consistent wide receiver
100%.
through and through through the first 3 weeks. But really, it truly is an everybody eats type offense, and I feel like, coming in against the 32nd ranked pass defense, it could be a big day for any of these guys.
It could be. I mean, it's honestly so funny because, like, looking at box scores from last year, where it'd be Stephon Diggs 7 catches with 14 targets or something ridiculous. Where now it's like,
unpredictable.
Shakir has 5 catches, Kincaid has 4 catches, Valdez Scantling has 2 catches, Samuel has two receptions. It's just like all over but Dawson Knox has a catch. It's just like you don't know what's going to happen.
I mean,
James
just in this game, Ty Johnson had a touchdown.
Yeah.
He had a pass
touchdown.
10 different
touchdown
receivers caught balls from Josh Allen this past Monday.
Yeah.
So, from a fantasy perspective, it sucks.
It's
you
horrible.
You cannot play any Bills players.
Keon Coleman, like,
He's benched for the first quarter because he was late to practice.
I got a funny story about that. I actually think I saw Keon Coleman coming into the venue.
Did you really?
Dude, so I was right. We were parked in lot 2, so it's like the closest to the gate or whatever. And I walked over to the Bills Mafia house because Dave and Adams. We actually do tailgate breaks. So we break
awesome.
before the game, like outside. So I went over just to say hello and everything. And this white Jeep came flying through the players' lot. Like, hit the gate. Didn't hit the gate, but like got to the gate, let it go up, and then just flew into the parking lot. I'm like,
that's got to be Keon Coleman.
After the next day, I'm like, was that Keon Coleman just flying through the parking lot because he was late? And I was like, it had to be. But I could be wrong. I don't want to put words in anyone's mouth. So
I just want to say that Sean McDermott just gave every single high school teacher so much fuel for, like, oh, you can't be late when you could, like, every kid that comes in late to a class nowadays. Keon Coleman was late and he was benched for a quarter. See, it doesn't matter in high school. It's going to matter in the real world too. Like, fuel for every single teacher ever.
Yeah. And the best part was Keon, like, his first pass that he caught, like,
Touchdown. Naturally.
Naturally.
And then, of course.
Unreal.
Like, we're nerfing ourselves right now. We're handicapping ourselves
Pretty
because
much.
we were so confident against the Jaguars. All right, so we've all waited long enough. it's time to bring out my first iteration of the NFL team tiers list.
Oh God, you guys are gonna love this.
So I showed it to David before the show started. So all that being said, we're gonna start with. Let's see, adjust the camera real quick. No, you're fine. So we're gonna start with the bottom of it, the Carolina Panthers.
That is just called
it's its
the
own
Carolina
standalone
Panthers.
tiers. It's just the
It's
Carolina
just the
Panthers.
Carolina Panthers.
And I think that's the best way to describe it. They're in a league of their own when it comes to comes to sucking. So they're at the bottom of the list. They're on the bottom, like they're below the bottom of the rankings. So I don't really think I have much to say about that. I don't think there's anything that needs to be said about that.
Do they move up once they beat Cincinnati this week?
Yes.
Okay.
And I think Cincinnati goes underneath, like underground for that one.
Yeah.
If that happens.
Yeah.
Moving up, I have 2025 draft scouting report.
It's good. Yeah, no, I agree with this. This
These
is good.
teams are they're already looking at Shedeur Sanders. They're looking at Travis Hunter. They're looking at
Carson
Quinn
Beck,
Ewers.
yeah,
Carson
Quinn
Beck.
Ewers.
Yep. Some of them might even be looking at Arch Manning already.
Hey, shout out to the Titans. At least they're getting, this great publicity every week with a Will Levis photo of the week.
That's been my dopamine rush every week. Just the new Will Levis photo.
It's awesome to
Wake
see.
up, new Will Levis photo.
Yeah,
just
pretty
dropped.
much. He's probably thinking about other girls. Me waiting for the Will Levis photo to drop.
That's literally what it's been. So moving up, I want to kind of segment these two tiers together. So are they broken, the Bengals? We're going to find out if they are indeed broken or not.
100%.
But these next three teams are definitely broken for each of their own ways. The Rams, they're just physically broken.
Physically broken.
They just don't have anyone.
beat the 49ers, but they're physically broken.
That's my problem here. They had Matt Stafford and, I don't know, some kids they picked up on the way to the game
Pretty much.
to play wide receiver for
You
them.
and me.
You and I are catching passes for Matt Stafford next week. You didn't get the mo?
Sign me up.
So then the Jaguars, what happened? I mean, they just might be a team that's actually broken. Like they are broken. Like they just have no morale. They have no identity. They're just broken through and through. And the Browns, until Deshaun Watson's off this team, they're going to be broken.
Yeah, they need to play J-Mo.
It's time.
It's time.
They need to boost morale.
They're not going to because Deshaun has they have way too much money invested in Deshaun, which is idiotic move number one on Cleveland. But it's the Cleveland Browns, so what else do you expect?
Next up,
I'm a Cleveland sports fan. I'm saying
you're a big Cleveland guy too.
Yeah,
So.
I'm not a Browns fan. I was a Baker fan, obviously, still am. But I watched the Browns from the outside. And I'm like, what in the absolute hell are they doing?
Absolute mess. Again, and I talk about this every week. Just another loser organization.
Pretty much.
An organization of losers. What can I say? Moving on to young and fun. We have the Broncos, the Bears, and the Colts. Now, these teams, I think, in the long term, will be better than every other team that's below them right now. I think they're off to slower starts because, you have Bo Nix starting a rookie quarterback. You have Chicago starting Caleb Williams, another rookie quarterback. You have Anthony Richardson starting for the Colts, who I could even still consider a rookie quarterback because he only played in, 4 games last season. So
Yeah.
I would still give him the benefit of the rookie doubt. All these teams have their pieces for the future. You could kind of put them into the draft scouting report tier, but I think they're a step better from every other team that's below them.
Okay.
Moving up, this is my favorite tier right now, the frisky playoff picks. So we have the Commanders and the Cardinals, which we talked about already
agree
in
with
their
those.
game. And then the Falcons, which are a fun game. They kept it close with the Chiefs. They almost beat the
They
Chiefs.
should have won that
They
game.
should have beat the Chiefs that game. And then I have the Chargers and the Bucks as well. The Bucks, it's tough. I had the toughest time placing the Bucks on this list right now because I don't think they're better than any of the teams that are above them, but they're definitely better
Better
than
than
all
the teams
below
below them. Yeah.
They're kind of in the middle right now, and I don't know where exactly they're going to sit. That loss against Denver really kind of threw me off a little bit.
Yeah, it didn't sit well with me either.
So I think they're ultimately a better team than Denver, but that's why I have them so close to each other. So I don't know. We'll see. And Jim Harbaugh. Or wait, which Harbaugh?
No, you're right.
Jim Harbaugh. Well, he's doing his thing.
It's typical. It's typical Harbaugh in the NFL.
It's just classic Harbaugh.
Just defense and hey, offense, go score some points.
Yeah.
Which they didn't do
Take care of
last week.
business.
And please, for the love of God, keep Justin Herbert healthy.
Please. Oh my. Yeah, they're already talking about it might be until week 6.
Great.
We might see him, or they might rest him through the bye.
Great. Just
So-
what football needs.
More superstars hurt.
Yeah.
Moving on, Fool's Gold. So I couldn't rank these teams any lower, but these teams are going to be teams that fall apart at the end of the season. Now the Steelers, when I say fall apart, I'm going to talk about another 9-8 season, first round exit. That's just what's been the typical for the Steelers.
That's
right
fair.
now. Seahawks, I like the Seahawks, and I really want to root for the Seahawks. I want to see them do well, but I just don't think they have enough of it as a team. They're in a tough division. That division is another one where they're going to eat each other up. And I don't know, just the defense I don't love. And I think as we get down into the colder weather, as we get into these more meaningful games, you can't outshoot everyone.
Yeah.
So, and then Fool's Gold, this might be a hot take, but I have San Francisco as Fool's Gold.
I think they'll figure it out.
They have, like,
They got to get healthy.
they do have to get healthy, but I'm looking at this team, and I mean, it's becoming Brock Purdy dependent right now with Deebo Samuel,
Which is
injured,
not good.
Christian McCaffrey hurt. I mean, Christian McCaffrey's flying out to Germany for another expert to look at his Achilles.
Good thing they gave Ayuk that contract.
Yeah. So, I don't know. To me, this might be a team that I could see them missing the playoffs. This is a team that might miss the playoffs this year.
Okay. I think they'll be fine. I think
Yeah.
they'll regroup and get back, but I mean it's fair. They are notably usually one of the unhealthiest teams in football. So
I think the injury bug has finally came to bit them.
okay.
To bite them. Bit them, bite them, whatever.
Bit them, bite them, undoubtedly, you know.
Undoubtedly. Yeah. Up next, I have first round exits.
Okay, that's easy.
This describes itself. We don't even
Yeah,
need to talk
Dave.
about it. Cowboys, Eagles.
That's typical.
Enough said. Done in divisional. So same idea, but they're going to win. I mean, 4 teams have to win.
Right.
And get into the divisional playoffs. And that's the Texans, the Packers, the Lions, and the Jets. Notice there's 2 AFC teams, 2 NFC teams here. They're done in the divisional rounds.
I'm gonna be honest with you. If CJ Mosley gets hurt this year for the Jets, they're done.
Yeah.
I've noticed this. Their defense is so much better when he's on the field. When he's off, it feels like they lose all sense of motor
Yeah.
skills. And I don't know. I'm just not a Jets believer. Maybe it's the Bills fan of me, but I'm just like, Aaron Rodgers looked good last week.
Aaron Rodgers looked
100%.
stellar. He looked
100%.
10 years younger.
That offense looked really good. And obviously their defense is good. There's something about them that I just don't think they're the top dog.
They have a sour taste in your mouth. And you know what? I don't think they'll. I think ultimately the Bills are going to win the division still. I mean, I think that goes without saying, especially through these first 3 weeks. But I could definitely see the Jets making a push for the playoffs come towards the end.
It's
of
fair.
the
I could
season.
too.
I think that they're also a team that could sneak and win a wild card game. And I honestly think right now they look better than any of the other AFC teams below them. I think, having the Chiefs, the Ravens, the Bills, the Texans above them, I think that's a fair spot. I'd say they're the fifth or sixth best team in the AFC.
Mm-hmm.
Next tiers could make a run. So I have the Ravens, the Vikings, and the Saints getting a little frisky up there. The Saints is a top 5 team still after that loss to Philadelphia.
Yeah, I think the one I agree with the most is Baltimore. I think if any team out of these 3 is going to make an actual run, it would be Baltimore, just because they've been to an AFC championship before. I think they have the most talent out of any of these teams.
Experience
is definitely key. I want to believe in Minnesota. I know I talked a big game about Sam Darnold, but I think they're gonna tamper off a little bit.
Yeah.
And then the Saints, I just don't trust them. I don't trust Derek Carr.
We talked about it already. Yeah.
Yep, don't trust Derek Carr.
Last category, absolute freight trains. Now, I think the Bills can kind of be, like, if there's a space between the Bills and the Chiefs right now, but I can't not put the Chiefs any lower. I mean, they're Super Bowl
3-0.
champions, 3-0. They're still finding ways to win games.
Ugly 3-0.
Patrick Mahomes has not looked like the best quarterback in football right now. Josh Allen has looked like the best quarterback in football right now. I mean, Mahomes is what, five touchdowns, 4 picks.
Interceptions. Yeah.
Josh Allen's 9 touchdowns, 0 picks, not even including his rushing touchdowns.
So Patrick Mahomes is still a favorite to win MVP.
Take Josh Allen while it's still plus money. I saw him actually during that Jacksonville game. He jumped from 550 odds to MVP to 225.
Yep.
In one game. That's all it took. So I don't know. I think the Bills look like the best team in football right now.
Right now.
The Chiefs are right there next to them because until otherwise, it's still. I mean, Chiefs have the Lombardi.
Yep.
So it's still the Chiefs and the Bills and everyone else. I feel like it's been the same conversation for the last 3 years: the Chiefs and the Bills and everyone else. But this time, it's the Bills and the Chiefs.
Yep.
Than everybody else.
We got to keep a level head because you know how the Bills seasons have gone the last few years.
Roller coaster.
They start off strong. They look great. They hit October and they face it's usually the Jaguars, but they'll hit October. They'll play a game where it's like, oh, they're big favorites, easy money. They lose. And then they just go on this little slump. And then everyone's like, oh, this is who we thought the Bills were. And then they just win out. And then
let it still be plus money. I will keep taking plus money on the Bills as long as I can. I mean, you're looking at, what, plus 116 for the Bills to win? I'm taking my plus money here. I'm taking the money line.
Don't tempt me with a good time, man.
And then just looking ahead to the Bills' schedule, I mean, they have the Ravens, and then following that, they have the Texans. So this stretch of games is going to be...
I can't wait for that Houston game.
This is going to be a test.
Yeah. No, they got a tough stretch of games here.
This is going to define how they look for the rest of the season. These next 3 games in particular. Ravens, Texans, Jets. The Jets always play the Bills tough.
Always.
It's always a
especially in New York
between Bills and Jets, especially in MetLife. They lost the last time they were in MetLife to a backup quarterback,
Zach Wilson.
They lost to Zach
on a punt
Wilson.
return opening week. But yeah, no, it's going to be a tough week. I think if you're Sean McDermott and the Bills, obviously you want to win all 3.
Yep.
But if on a 3-game road trip you can go 2-1, I think that's a win.
That's fair.
That's a win.
Getting into this AFC 5-1, I mean, you're setting yourself up. There's so many of these AFC, these conference games that are so early, and they're so important to the playoff seeding right now. I mean, you already took care of business against the Dolphins. You took care of that's one divisional win. You took care of business against the Jags, which at one point in time looked like a playoff team. We don't think that's going to happen right now.
Right.
But hey, you have 3 conference games and 1 divisional game all lined up with each other. So if they can come out, 2-1, and then looking into the Titans game following that 3-1 in that stretch, I'm happy with that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I have never hoped for the Bills to beat a team by 40 like I'm hoping when they play Houston.
Yeah.
I have my reasons.
That's fair.
I have my reasons.
Everyone's got their own.
Just please come out and win 52-6, and then I'll be very happy camper.
I think that was the score of the remember 91 or 92 when
something ridiculous. It was like 59-3. I think it was 59-3.
Let's just get a repeat of that game. We'll call it a day.
Yep, I would be totally fine with that.
And at that point, that is all I have for you guys today. Have anything else that you want to add? Any props that you were eyeing or anything that you were looking at?
So real quick, I threw in a very, very stupid futures parlay that I would love to share with you all. So obviously, Nico mentioned how he is on the Commanders train right now. Yeah. So I picked every single division in the NFL. Commanders, NFC East.
Love it.
Bills, AFC East. Houston, AFC South, because everyone else sucks in that division.
By default.
Yep. Pittsburgh in the North. KC in the West, obviously. Tampa, NFC South. Detroit, NFC North. San Francisco in the West, $10 to pay $12,496.76.
Hello.
Please hit.
$10 to $12,000.
I need this for a house fund, so thank you.
I was to say that's a down payment right there.
Yeah, exactly. Need, please.
That's all we need. I mean, it seems simple enough, right?
It seems simple enough. My buddies and I have talked about like who we think is going to screw it up. We think the Steelers and, well, obviously probably the Commanders, because obviously Cowboys and Eagles will come back. But
yep. I don't know. I'm looking at the Niners. That might be your weakest link here, man.
It's gonna be tough. It's that.
Those Cardinals. They're frisky. They're fun.
Yeah, they're fun and frisky. Yeah.
Oh man. That's a good tell. I might tell that. That's pretty good.
I don't know.
$10.
My cash out right now is $10.
It's looking real nice.
Just get my money back.
That lunch at Chipotle is looking real nice.
Yep, pretty much. That's how I feel about it.
So that is all I got for you guys today. thank you, David, for coming back on. It's been a blast, as always.
Thank you for actually wanting me back on the show. I appreciate it.
I know. I feel like
I
we were
always have a
trying-
good time here.
We were
so.
trying to connect for the last little bit. You were running a softball league
Yeah,
on
we
Wednesdays.
co-ed Wednesdays, man.
How'd you guys do?
We ran the table and won the championship.
Look at that.
Yep.
Boom. Ah, shout out. You want to talk about Toast of the Week. There
Toast
you
of the
go.
week right there, untouchable softball. There we go.
Boom.
No, it was a good time. But Nico, thank you so much for having me on. And like I said, I always have a good time every time I'm here.
Appreciate you. Thank you for the support as always, and best of luck over at Dave and Adams as
Thank
you
you.
continue to grow. It's cool kind of seeing you from a side, watching you kind of grow your career as the show progresses, and getting you back on for like a little check-in. It's awesome.
Appreciate it, man.
Thank you to Mateo for jumping in and producing for us today. We're looking forward to having you as part of the team, and then shout out to Moranto for getting us going, of course, and then shout out to Emerge and BICBP Radio Network. Thank you everyone listening, and after that, let's cheer on the Bills this week, a big one. So
Huge game. Huge game.
big one today. So thank you all for watching, and we'll see you next week. 16 views.
Oh, that is a great picture of me.